How you doing, everybody? Um, Today I thought it'd be fun to talk about the the ideal collection would be. In other words, what kind of watches would you get? And hi, Mark. Uh, and by the type of watches is the hey, Brian. Hey, you get my note, Brian? Oh, thanks, man. Oh, good. Hi, Em. How you doing? Hi, John. Collect what you like. Uh yeah, hey neighbor, how you doing? No rules needed, huh? Okay. Um very subtle. Brian, it doesn't get much subtler than that. Anyway, the yeah, you know, as I got into watch collection, I learned more and more about what I mean what was I guess people were collecting. And so anyway, I thought that okay, Brian. I guess you saw moon phase. What is that? Was it moon? Not moon phase. That's the name of a watch. Hey, Von Cruel, how you doing? Um, no, what I was going to say is, as I got more into to watch collection, the first thing I did, I tried to get the Holy Trinity. I thought that was somehow important, and ended up out of the three I got and the Holy Trinity, I don't have any of them still in my collection. Um, One I wore for a long time, the overseas. The other one I was afraid to wear, my Patek Philippe Calatrava. And the third one, I don't know why I got it, but it was an Audemars Piguet, and I thought I should have one. And I traded it in. I mean, talk about throwing money away. Anyway, hi Anthony. Hi Jose. I almost said Jose. It's Jose. Um, so what do you guys think? I mean, what's your experience been? I have am in relationship to what you said. You know, collect what you like. I agree with that. Collect what you like, but I think what I found is that I became to me it sort of shifted over to what I became interested in. Um, I got really interested in constant force, and I got all wound up in and actually in FP Jorn, the the double barrels in parallel on the Souverain, and then on the resonance watch. Anyway, I talked a whole lot earlier today, and I want you guys to do the talking today because I'd like to see what I mean. Like when you're looking at the watch, how you'd go from just sort of getting something you might like to something. Gee whiz, I think this might fit into my collection. Hey, Solar Music, Bonsoir from Paris. For me, the perfect collection, a beater, a middle ground watch that I can use in a formal occasions, a high luxury watch for the very, let's see, where is it? A high luxury watch for the very, very formal occasion. Okay. Now, I tell you, a lot of one of the things I found, what you're saying is very rational. I I wonder whether that has been my guide. I think in some ways it has been, but a lot of ways no. Right now, I think the most important watch you can have is one you're going to wear every day. I mean, not necessarily a beater. It can be a really nice watch, uh, but something you put on in the morning and you like wearing all day long, and you feel good about it. And that's that I think should be an initial watch. That's my view. Von Krul, you're having a blast making a fairly quartz-heavy collection. Just picked up a Longines VHP for a good price. They're discontinued. That's another thing I like is discontinued. I like to call them now they're rare. Hi HRM, how you doing? I would love an ultra thin watch with manual wind movement that has dual barrels and parallel 3 hertz, about 40 hours power reserve. Yeah, that comes close to my ideal too of a good watch. I'm trying to think which one. The one I've got two watches almost in that ideal. One is my FP Journe's Souverain. The other one that I like a lot is is that Fabergé Alexei. I don't. I just enjoy it no end, and you know, there's it doesn't have a. It's at 4 hertz. It's an automatic. It doesn't have an exhibition window in the back, but it's something about it, and and I don't know what. Sort of drives me crazy, but it's sort of fun. Anthony, I see a daily watch, a diver, and a dress watch. A diver's is that would be sort of like a all-purpose sports watch, Anthony. The rationality is enforced by the limits of one's financial resources. Oh, even the concept of your financial resources changes, Von Cruel. Because I've been spending money. I think the most I'd ever spent on a watch on purpose was something like $300. And I thought, man, that's a lot for a watch. I think it was a Raymond Weil, and it had a rubber strap on it. And so I took the rubber strap off and went and paid too much for down to the jewelry store that sold watches. The prices of bands there were really expensive, and they weren't that good, and the selection wasn't that good. Now I know better. Yeah, I guess you're right about there is. I mean, you have your resources, what you can afford, but what you think you can afford changes, and it's weird, really weird. I think it might be such a great thing if a fellow just easily buy whatever struck his fancy. Uh, Curating is a big part of where the hobby is at. Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good point. Anthony. Okay, the diver's a sports watch. Gotcha. Collecting what you like for me as I began collecting without any real knowledge of watches left me with a collection of inexpensive watches that I rarely wear now. That is that is something I think is important to you with certain inexpensive watches. You don't feel like wearing them, and they're not easy to sell. Nobody else wants them either. Yeah, it's sort of a tough thing. Hey, Goldfinger, how you doing, man? Damon, good to see you. I'm more and more attracted to special and unique uh, over dime a dozen prospects. Yeah, me too. I'm slowly replacing the more common for the more rare. Yeah, I don't know when a lot of watches. When I got this one, this has become one of my favorite watches. I have to. It's hard to tell time with, and it's my Vacheron Constantin Mercator, and I don't know why I got it in the first place, except I could have. There was sort of like a little window when I could afford it, and I wheedled the guy down to what was a good price. But then once I got it, I thought, man, this thing is really cool. You never know, though. I mean, it, the whole series of watches that Vacheron Constantin has that are they're sort of I forgot what they're called, but they have this series of watches that don't fit in with the other categories that they have. Um, and they're great watches. And this one even has Jaeger-LeCoultre. No, wait. Yeah, it's a Jaeger-LeCoultre movement that was made exclusively for Vacheron Constantin, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet. And then it has this on top of it. They put on this thing for this double, uh, sort of this scissor-like retrogrades that it has. Just love this watch, and it doesn't, and it's hard to tell time. Same thing with my Chaumet. It's hard to tell time, and it's got a little Ferris wheel that goes around really slowly. But man, what a fun watch to have! Well, cool. I'm selling two less expensive watches as part of this new Longines VIP purchase, leaving the collection. Longines, I think, is one of the really overlooked watches. I have the Longines Equation of Time. Great watch. Really, they're really well made. The one I've got is from, I guess it was, I don't know the exact year, but it was from 1989 when they were celebrating the 150th anniversary of something. But, the other watches I have, I try to rotate them, and I hate not to rotate them. But the ones I like the ones that are fancy and special as much as I like the ones that are time only, like the Roger Dubuis Monégasque. Love that watch. Just time only. Oh wow, you're getting an altimeter watch. That ought to be cool. Pazu 7001 with an altimeter barometer module. That is just amazing. I have no idea how they do that with a mechanical watch. I've seen them in quartz watches, and of course you can find them in smart watches. But that is something I really like. I have the Monoretropont by Beauvais, and it's a chronograph with its own version of a Rattrapont. And I just never wear it. I'm going to sell it, and but it's a cool watch, but it's not cool anymore. I don't know if you understand that or not. Yeah, manual wine by independent watchmakers, with the exception of Christopher Ward. Christopher Ward's okay. They're an independent, aren't they? Hey, Fernie, how you doing, man? I'm a quartz nut, but Longines make beautiful mechanical watches. I agree. I agree. I think Longines is overlooked by sort of the high horology crowd as well as the low horology crowd. They both see. I don't know. The Longines is a very cool brand, I think. What about these guys? I can hardly wait till Fernando's got a new watch. Um, by a company that I really like, and that is Underdog. There's something about them I just like. I think it's a spirit of that they don't take, it's sort of funny how you do this. You take the watchmaking and doing very seriously, but other things you don't take seriously. And they sort of do it well together and make them really fun watches. You're getting slapped around, as they say. You had it coming. uh, I have made. I might have made the purchase work, but neither dial grabbed me either, and maybe a hair small for me. Anthony Sin 556, a daily Longines Hydro Conquest Cartier tank, must. Um, this is what I love in my range that I can afford around here in New Orleans. Or, if you can afford them in New Orleans, I mean, they don't where I live in Bloomfield, Connecticut. They don't have a watch store that I could go down and buy a watch in. Everything I get is online, and I'm trying to think. There was one time I went into a watch store and got a watch, and that was this Audemars Piguet that I didn't like. So usually I do it online, and so you can live anywhere. Now with this stupid thing that they're doing with the tariffs, um, I don't know what's going to happen. Anthony, though, I'll tell you one. You mentioned sin, and those seem to be very, very well regarded by the people who have them, and that I think is sort of interesting. The one I like, the German watch I like, I think there's certain models I would like more than others is Tutima. I've got I'd be very tempted by one of those. Also, too, by a Mulegé Glashütte, just because they have a woodpecker um, regulator. That to me is fun. What are your top three case materials, and what are your top three dial materials, colors? Case materials? I don't have a titanium watch, and I'll tell you why. Um, I never got one because I tried on some. I think they were titanium, and they felt very light to me, and they are light. So titanium isn't in one of my top metals. I suppose my very top would be steel. I just like a regular steel one. I like gold, both white and yellow gold, and platinum. I have one platinum watch, and to me, it looks like steel or white gold. I can't tell the difference between them, but I don't pay. The only reason I pay attention to the case material, um, usually it has to do something with the price of the watch. I don't dislike, in other words, to say, you guys, you shouldn't be using ceramics as case material. Like I think Chanel has some of the J12s are in ceramics, and some of I think what was it? There's some other brands that'll come to me later that are big on ceramics. So I'm not into it. How about yourself? Hey Lee. Oh, isn't there a Fracking Gold watch company there? Laco, that's another one, Anthony. I've heard a lot of good things about. Um, wow, HRM, that's very interesting. I like the 2892. I think that's one of the A2, the best ones that ETA has. I think that's a good solid movement. I like it better than the real popular one, the something something 24. Hi Jeff. I just ordered a Junghans Meister driver. That looks like an odometer on an old car. How cool. Can't wait to see it in person. I like the long history of the company. Junghans. Yeah, that's another company I know of but don't know very much about. Von Cruel, I think buying a Chinese knockoff is a great idea for learning about a lot of these things. I have several broken ones. It's better to break an inexpensive one than an expensive one. I know that the where Lee gets his watches, it's an old one. It's a sundial watch company in Fracking Gulch, Oklahoma, where Lee's from. Very very exclusive. Found a Longines on C24 that has a movement from 1916, but has been updated with a modern hairspring balance wheel. Wow, that sounds interesting. Hi, Rick. How you doing, man? Solar Music. I got my hands on a white gold watch. I didn't expect to like it as much. It's a Longines from the 1960s. Square, so nice. Tell you something, Solar Music. I never liked um, white gold until I started having them, and I really like them. I think it's, among other things, it's there's a certain heft to them that just feels like real quality. My Fabergé is one with it. So is my it's just ones I didn't expect. In my Ovale is white gold, and so is the my double hairspring. Those are all white gold. Never, I just thought that'd be sort of dumb getting a white gold watch because it looks just like a steel watch. Something about them though that I like. I know what you mean, and it's hard to define sometimes. There are updated mainspring barrels available for the ETA 2824. I'll increase the power reserve about 15%. Cool. Hi, Dang J Ring. How you doing? Finally got a handmade watch with the HMT movement I once had mentioned. HMT movement, you may have mentioned it. I don't remember which one that is. Dahan J. Bon cool. Even though I mostly, okay, still a quartz guy, I do plan having a watch with the 2892 AT movement or derived. My purchase of NH35 watches will be complete in a few days, I expect. Is NH35, is that quartz or is that, sounds like a Seiko movement? Sen 856 is one candidate to fill a spot in your collection. Oh wow, trench watch from 2016. Keep your eye out for Frank Mueller. Some sell under the scrap gold. Oh yeah, their scrap gold price and have an ETA of 28. Wow, with a 950 platinum rotor. That sounds good. Hi Alte, how you doing? Glad you're here live. How we doing on time? Well, we got some more time. Hey Jeff, my favorite watch by far is the Armstrong Equal Force. I don't blame you. That could easily be a lot of people's. You know, I did a video. I think it was almost a week ago now on watches that I'll probably regret not getting, and the one that I would regret not getting the most was an Armstrong, and I looked for it and it's gone. Somebody bought it when I wasn't looking. It's a great watch. Hey Faisal, how you doing? Hurt Heiferschild. I so when I was in England, I was there for Lent term, and the names of the towns were ones I failed in pronouncing. But anyway, yeah, I know, Lee, that it used to be the opposite. For some reason, gold has become more expensive than platinum for some reason. Um, I've been purging, not purposing, NH35 watches. I bought a few of them earlier in my journey. HMT is an Indian watch movement based on the Citizen Myota movement, very inexpensive but robust. Ooh, 18 thousand semi-oscillations per hour, but the dial is handmade. The case is, oh, by Ickler. They're very good. That's a German case company. Uh, Once on a live stream, I had discussed it. That sounds very interesting stuff. HRM, Christopher Ward has often a decent amount of emails about their mainspring barrel setup. They have forwarded to their team. Okay, how hard is it to give, even a manager, who's going through the email, he can come up with a simple answer. I mean, the question comes down to, is it a parallel or a serial? And you know, they can have an automatic feedback. If you're asking about the barrel arrangement, is it serial or parallel? It's X, whatever it is. Hertfordshire. Well, I live near Hartford, Connecticut, so that'll be easy to remember. Yeah, Brian, I hope so too. Damon, keep looking. I look to keep introducing different types of watches and shy away from a repeating similar themes in a collection. Sometimes I do that, Damon, too. I don't like to have sort of the same watch repeated over and over. But on the other hand, I have a lot of time only watches that I like, and I like them all. And so I know what you mean, but sometimes I don't follow that. The big thing I do, so I was looking at a Rolex, and I kind of, well, I better get a Rolex because the Rolex people will say, okay, but I'd never wear it. And so I look at some watches, and that's true with a lot of watches. One of my favorite watches that I've wanted to get for a long time is the Vacheron Constantin Quadrille. But when a time comes up to get it, I always get something else. And I think I just, maybe I like sort of, yeah, I guess dress watches. I guess that, but I see them as everyday watches. Jeff just asked Brian, I am not a good influence. Ask Fernando, I'm a terrible influence. Your wife. I think I get in trouble with people's wives. I think on Mother's Day I'm going to get a bunch of poison pin letters. I'm interested in how the changeover between barrels happens if twin barrels in series. There was an article I was reading on that, and the first barrel, you have something like that. You have here's your barrel right here, and then you have something over to the side, and your other barrel is over here. And I was trying to understand it, and to be frank, I couldn't understand it. Understanding how parallel barrels work is pretty simple, really, because they're set up to the same what is it? There's sort of a gear in between them. This is why the Christopher Ward looks exactly like uh, two barrels in parallel. My Chronomet Surveying, which I've had a long time and spent a lot of time looking at that double barrel, that is one in parallel. That's sort of easy to tell. But a lot of times you don't know there's something off to the side or something you don't see or underneath or behind that, some plate. So I'm glad people are asking about it. Yeah, Von Krul. I don't know how that works, but it is interesting. If you could only keep 3 watches, um, if I only could keep 3 watches, my God, that would be impossible. You know what? I tell you, if I could keep 1 watch, it would probably be that Vestron, I mean, the FP Journe, because I like that so much. It's had it such a long time, and it's such just a nice watch. But I would hate to give up my Vestron Constantin 1921, or my Mercator, or my Ovale, or my Van Cleef, and our. I don't want to give up any of them, or my H. Moser. I got to the point now I really have where I like all my watches, and I don't know. It's sort of a hard thing to do. Brian. Yeah, Brian's right. Listen to Brian. Yeah. Hi, Lazard. How you doing, man? It's Christopher Ward running for PM. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, same. Von Krul. That was same here. Yeah, that's sort of very straightforward. Will Eric ever make a sports dress watch? Yeah, I think that's what well, in a way, we're doing that now. The Air Zulu is an air sports watch, and it has sort of a sporty band on it, sort of a combination of textile and leather. But you could dress that thing up if you wanted to. And that is what I'm really, really looking forward to. We hope to have it by the end of the year. I don't think we're going to have it in time for the Grand Prix this year, though. We'll have to wait until the 2026 Grand Prix for this one. I have the VC Quadrille with it. Oh, that is such a good watch. With all the counterfeiting stuff on the dial and tight. Counterfeiting stuff? Sweet watch with the ostrich leg strap from Aaron Bespoke. Aaron Bespoke, that's combat straps, isn't it, Jeff? Yeah, no, that watch is really a nice watch. Oh, wow. Okay. Uh, Faisal, that's another good one. That Swatch ETN. That would be, yeah, that's a nice watch. That has I sort of like the way they do it is that they put in those 2 cavities in the base plate, and so you can either have a barrel and a micro rotor, or 2 barrels, and the way they set it up would be 2 barrels in parallel. It's awfully cool. Hi, Ate, how you doing? I should make a SOTC pretty soon. Well, I've made a few of them already out there. I have one for 2024. Yeah, I've got some couple things I'm waiting for. Yeah, maybe I ought to make one pretty soon. Then I'll have something for next year. It's not a bad idea. This is a less expensive version. I got a pretty good buy on my on this guy. This is my Mercator. I got a good buy on it. I don't know why. There was one just like it for almost 3 times as much, and so you I don't look I don't look gift horses in the mouth. I just put them on my wrist. No, this has turned out. One of the funny things. Um, this is a copy of one, but I've been collecting these Mercator maps. Um, Talk about going from irresponsible to more irresponsible. I have an original map by what's his name, Giraldus Mercator from 1625, I think. My God, it's a long time ago. Even for me, that's a long time ago. Mark, if I had to start collecting, I'd do exactly what you did, Mark. If I had to start collecting over, Mark started. I don't know if it started his collection, but he started his, say, a high horology collection with a F.P. Journe chronomet Sylvain Havana, which I really like a lot. I don't know of they Jeff Vacheron Constantin has a whole series of watches that are sort of historical, and all of them. But the thing that's so cool about them is that they have interesting movements, like this one with the compass for the hands. Oh, okay, Dahani. It's called High Horology Lounge on Facebook. Oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if one becomes available, I'll let them know. The thing about Larique, we're in HR, we're in such a strange place, really. We started it because we wanted to get a really high quality watch without paying all of the overhead that goes with it, including marketing, dealer discount, warehousing, and yada yada yada. We just wanted the manufacturing price. We've pretty well been able to do that. But on the other hand, we I guess we've been entering into the Grand Prix because I don't know why we do, but it's sort of a fun thing to do. Say, hey, we got a good watch too. And like I said, unfortunately, we're not going to make it this year because I think one of the parts is just not going to be ready in time. So we'll have to do it next year. Yeah, I my favorite watch by far that we've done so far is and we haven't gotten that far, but I like it. Is the Arizulu. The first one we did, we thought was so hard. It was nothing compared to the second one, and I'm hoping the third one will work out pretty well. I mean, sometimes you run into stuff. One of the things about Larique is we learn so much. There is so much to learn that we didn't even think about. And I was talking to our banker today, and I said, if nothing else out of this thing, we're going to really learn a lot about international banking because there's it is on the one hand it depends on your bank. Uh, my bank is Bank of America. It's about as to me, it sort of seems like a very plain vanilla kind of bank. But I'll tell you, it's great with international stuff. And so I like it. And there's another one we have, Chase Manhattan, where we have the Larique account. They're they're very mm, they're different. I'll put it that way. But you have. I mean, in order to have a kind of thing that really, I think, works the way we want it to, and the way we want it to, we want to have really the very very best we can get for what we're paying for it. And so, if there are two choices, one is really good and the other one is so so, we'll go with the really good one. Like on our new watch, the dial on the Arizulu, the dial is being made by F.P. Journe's outfit, and I won't even try to mispronounce it, but it's basically what's it called? I think the dial makers of Geneva. He's got two of them. One's a case maker, and the other one is a dial maker. We're going to go with the dial maker. Hey, Killer Audio, how you doing? Aaron Bespoke is his own brand up in Canada. I, I think. Oh, Jeff, you're moving to Canada. It's save a room. Um, Aaron B's actually he used to be called Combat Straps, and I'm glad he changed the name because that's what it is Aaron Bespoke. Looking at a good deal on a pre-owned Brigade Tradition retrograde date, mesmerizing dial. The brigade tradition, it looks like it came out of Abraham Louis Brigade's workshop. I really like the looks of those. Yeah, we've done it twice, and the first time we did it, we entered it in a category, and they said we cheated because we put a too good of a watch in the category, and they were sort of like, "Nah, you can't do that." And the next one we put it in a new category. It was called time only. God, we got hit by a Mack truck. Some of the watches there were just unbelievable. So we'll see what we do the next time. It's fun to do anyway. Oh wow. Yeah, well, I'll tell you, killer audio, there are 100 of us, and there are discussions, I'll put it that way. Discussions. If I think, thank God we're spread all over the world. Otherwise, I think we'd be throwing things at each other. And then we get something, and the grown-ups in our group move on. I'd like to get into Daniel Roth. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, the triple hand second one. That's the academic, called the academic something or other, I think. Um, I think that one has a fairly routine movement in it. I have his Metropolitan, which is to me is really a neat watch, but I suppose I should probably wear it more. I have the Metropolitan and the Retrograde, both of which I really like, but I don't wear that much. That's what I don't understand. I have watches that I like, but I have watches. I don't know why I don't. The Metropolitan. The interesting thing is that the you turn it to your city, which is in your time zone, and then they have the either at the top or the bottom of your time zone, they have the one that's 12 hours difference. Okay. So you get, so I'm in the New York time zone, in Bangkok, and China and a lot of other places are 12 hours away. So that's one way I know, like if it's 8 o'clock in the morning here, it's 8 o'clock at night in Bangkok and Hong Kong. That's another thing too. I tell you, working, coordinating, Larique has made me aware of all of these different time zones. The guys, some places like India has a half hour offset. They probably wanted something a little more, like we don't want to do it on the hour. We're going to do it on a half. So their half hour offset is probably the way the world turns, as they figured out, okay, this is exactly where it should be. Heck with the rest of you guys, we're going to do it our way. And that's fine. But you have to learn how to offset it one way or the other, especially on these world timers. Some world timers do a pretty good job on it. Yeah, Jeff, the Daniel Roth I'd like to get is another one that I have come so close to, but something always happens or I change my mind. Usually what happens is, I don't know, I just at the last second, and that's the Papillon. I like the Papillon. Even the Bulgari version that Roth did when he was at Bulgari. But that's another one that's really nice. Right now, there are a couple Daniel Roth chronographs. I had one Daniel Roth chronograph, and it had a El Primero movement in it. And I'm not into chronographs, and so I sold it. But I still have my other two. I'm not trying to figure out. I'll just start wearing them more. But I have other ones, that they get ignored. I think the whole purpose of collection really is to have things you enjoy wearing. And if you have too many, then you're in trouble. Yeah, Von Crew, you're right. I agree. Yeah, I know HRM. You're right. The time only category. You get in there. It's like getting beat up by bullies after school in that category. Yeah, you're right, Killer Audio. Not only that, but we're in like I think 6 or 7 continents. We're all over the place. Hi, NJ. How you doing? 3 watches to complete a minimal watch, a dress casual watch, a casual sports watch. You're missing one. Yeah. What do you guys think? I always thought that a moon phase watch was really important. And when I got my first moon phase watch, I got it all set up and looked at it, and it was it just wasn't much fun. What's happening? Looking at the moon phase, oh, nothing's happening. I don't know. It's sort of a silly thing. Oh man. Hey, listen, guys. Rancher isn't here to tell me it's frying pan time, so I got to run. Thank you all. I really like the ideas you had and some of the insights that you've had. I'm really glad of that. Take care, and we'll see you next week. Some of you guys I'll see tomorrow. But little Reek guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.